Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first YouTube video in this channel, or well, any channel on YouTube ever. So if you wanna show some love or support, click the like button down below and subscribe to the channel so that you can have more videos like this, if you like this, that is. But yeah, that would be pretty good if you can help out. So anyways, let's get to the video. Okay, so I was scrolling on Reddit just a few days ago, like, any usual person would, and I realized what an interestingly crazy place it is. You get such a range of things, like, one minute you'll be reading up on some very sad dog story, and then the next thing you see is like, oh, my grandma snorted cocaine. Am I the asshole? And I can't lie, I love reading this stuff. I decided, okay, I feel like this stuff is really interesting and I want to talk about them. And that brings us to where we are now. So I was up on Reddit looking at some stories last night. The title is called, "What is the creepiest or scariest folklore story you have heard? And what culture did it originate from?" Now, growing up, I heard a lot of really cool folk stories or mythological stories, and I really like them. Like, I don't know about you, but I am obsessed with, Greek mythology and Egyptian mythology and Roman mythology and Norse, even like different countries like Chinese folklore and Japanese folklore and African folklore and Indian folklore. I don't know, I'm naming all the countries in the map now. And I'm running out of breath. But anyways, I find them really interesting. So we have a whole subreddit that we are going to dissect today. So let's get into it. Okay, so this first one is about some creature called the orang minyak. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I believe this is from Malaysia. Orang minyak, the oily man in Malay. He's a shaman or a supernatural being entirely covered in tar or black oil. Do you guys know about that one Goosebumps book? I don't know what it's called, but I'll put it up here. Tell me if that's what you guys thought of too. Or maybe not. I mean, who would think of Goosebumps on? Okay. Anyways, he gains and increases his powers by abducting and raping virgins. While I studied in Malaysia, a few girls were raped on our campus and somehow Orang Minyak was blamed. The rumor spread like wildfire. One weekend there was literally an exodus of students, all in panic because most of them firmly believed we were being attacked by Orang Minyak. Most of the international students were just in disbelief. Wow. I'm sorry, Malaysia. I feel like this is just a sob story to not put the blame on freaking rapists. I feel like this is just an easy card for, like, assaulters to be like, oh, it wasn't me, it was the Orang Minyak. I didn't do anything to this girl. It was just, I was possessed. I want to see some of these comments. How shitty for those girls. This guy raped me. No, it was definitely this mythical creature that stole his shape and raped you. He'd never do that. ... Sounds like a legend to let rapes be passed off as a demon. So shitty. Yeah, I mean, okay, I think these comments are agreeing. I feel like a lot of countries have these folklores or like mythical creatures that they've, introduced to the society. Things like, oh, if a girl goes out in the night alone, there's this monster that's gonna come get you. Or to little kids, like, oh, if you, walk in the street alone after 6 p.m., you're gonna get abducted by this crazy woman. Let's not blame them on fake creatures. Okay, anyways, let's go to the second one. As a Trinidadian, growing up we were told not to go wandering off into the forest. Douens, that lived in the forests and were basically children that had their feet back to front. Once they learned a child's name, they would call out to them in the voice of their parents, leading them into the forests. Absolutely no. Oh my gosh, this is so creepy. Their footprints would lead the child more astray, losing them in the forest for good. They are said to be lost souls of kids. That's just one weird folklore we have, whereas we have many. I wish I can list them all for you guys. Damn, that's creepy. Anything involving children is automatically creepy. If I see a child and they start acting weird, I'm out of there like this. I am gone. You best believe I'm gone. It's just a no. If you hear the scream of a livid woman who is determined to kill you, strip your outer layer of clothing where you stand and sprint, because the mountain witch will take your clothes as a tribute. Adirondack Mountains growing up. Turns out it was a mountain lion. Way scarier than a witch. This is so stupid. Imagine you're walking up a hill and you hear some woman screaming and you just start stripping. You're just like, oh wait, don't catch me. Let me just remove my top. Let me just remove my trousers. Let me just keep these here, and I'm gonna go about my way. You can take my clothes. Be happy. And then like some guy way back down the trail just sees like a naked person just running past them. Interesting. Y'all got this creepy shit. Meanwhile, our local legends are got criminals on flying goats. I'm from the Black Forest, Germany, a region spooky by itself and with even more stories of ghosts, zombies, dwarves, nymphs, tree spirits, and all of that shit. A lot of widely known fairy tales come from here, and operas were inspired by this forest. The forest looks a lot like the name suggests. It is so densely forested with fir and pine trees that sunlight rarely pierces through, which makes it look black. However, when the sun shines, it's freaking beautiful. One of the stories takes place at the Mummelsee, Lake Mummel, if I pronounce that right. A lake high up on the mountain, surrounded by 3 cliffs and pine trees that always appear dark black. According to legends, a king lives under these waters that charms young girls into swimming and then dragging them into the lake, bringing them to his kingdom underwater. Some of those girls then later appeared as nymphs to then again lead hikers into their watery depth. There is some kind of real explanation. People would bathe in the lakes, which is much deeper than they had thought. Due to the cold water from the depths, some people probably drowned. Damn. That's quite interesting. I mean, actually a lot of folklore have like these mythical beings or mythical creatures that are associated with water or the sea or the oceans or lakes and drowning and all that stuff. I mean, if you think about it, like even Greek mythology, you have the sirens, you have mermaids, which technically I know a lot of kids, I mean, we're always brought up being told that, you know, mermaids are all beautiful and sparkles and they sing songs and blah blah blah. But I think in a lot of actual mythologies, mermaids are way scarier. Actually, I remember the first time I was exposed to a non-mermaidy mermaid was actually in Harry Potter. That thing scared the living crap out of me as a child because I was like, my life's been a lie? This is what a mermaid is supposed to be like? I mean, I know that's not exactly how a mermaid is supposed to be like. I mean, in different stories, in different mythologies, in different countries, mermaids appear differently, they act differently. Some are helpful, some are scary, some of them eat you alive, some of them sing songs to you and then they just lower you into the water somehow, drown you, kill you, I don't know, crazy stuff. But yeah, it's really interesting how different countries and different cultures see somewhat similar mythical beings or creatures in different ways based on their environmental experiences and factors that, you know, are involved with it. It's really interesting. Okay, this next one is Australian. I haven't actually heard many Australian legends, so I'm interested. When I lived in an Australian outback town in the middle of nowhere, our Indigenous Studies teacher, who is an Aboriginal, loved to tell us stories. She scared all the first graders straight by telling us never to go out into the desert alone, because there lives a monster who is always thirsty. He's always trying to find water but never can because it hardly rains. So when plump and juicy children become lost in the desert, he jumps on them and drinks all their blood. All he leaves behind are the dry husks of children for their parents to find. Oh my goodness. I wouldn't put that to test. That's actually really clever. If that is a common folklore over there, fair enough, but if she created that, you are clever. I would believe it as a child. I mean, maybe I wouldn't believe it, but I wouldn't put it to the test for certain. Because I've definitely heard of vampires by that age. I'd be like, oh my gosh, this teacher is talking about basically vampires. I'm not gonna put that to test. I'm sure she was just trying to deter us from wandering off into the bushland, but it left a memorable imprint. Fair enough, yes. I've forgotten the monster's name. Another popular Aboriginal tale is the Tiddalik. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm sorry in advance, but please bear with me. Tiddalik was a giant frog who drank all the water in the world. As the other creatures began to die from thirst, they plotted to make Tiddalik laugh. Everyone failed except Nabanum, the eel, who danced and tied himself into knots. Tiddalik laughed uproariously, releasing all the water and filling the rivers and lakes. Many of the creatures drowned in the process or were left stranded on the new islands. The concept of giant laughing frogs scared the cookies off me as a 6-year-old. Well, that's not actually really scary. I would actually really like that story. I mean, I now like that story, like currently me. I feel like even as a child, I would find that really amusing. Like a giant frog who drank all the water in the world and needed someone to make them laugh so that it could, fill up the rivers and the lakes. But that sounds really cute. Am I the only one who thinks that's kind of like, it's quite sweet? An old Japanese lady told me this story. Can I say one thing about Japanese folklore? I will not mess. No, nothing. Nothing to do with Japanese horror stuff. Not for me. Absolutely not for me. I watched Grudge when I was 7, 8 years old. I watched all 3 Grudge movies and I didn't sleep for 3 days. I hated the color blue for the longest time of my life. I don't mess with Japanese horror stuff. Absolutely no way. But now I really, really like watching people playing Japanese horror games or Japanese inspired horror games or even playing them myself. I did play one. But it's so creepy. I don't know, they just have a really good way of executing their ghosts and mythological beings. Just stay away from me. I rebuke. But anyways, an old Japanese lady told me this story. If you have 2 mirrors facing each other so the reflections make a tunnel. Wait. Let me put this into my mind. If you have 2 mirrors facing each other so the reflections make a tunnel, okay, then you light a candle between them. If you look down the tunnel, you'll see a demon putting out the candle in the mirrors as it gets closer by jumping forward a reflection every time you look away. And if it gets to you, it grabs you and pulls you into the mirror to become a demon and pull the next victim in. Oh my gosh, absolutely no. That is horrible. The fact that this involves a tunnel, well, I know it's not like literally meaning a tunnel, but I don't like passages or things that look like corridors or passages or tunnels or whatever. And especially if I'm alone, it makes me very uncomfortable. And then you light a candle. See, everything about this itself is just creepy. You've got mirrors, you have reflections, you have tunnels, you have candles, you have demons, and the fact that every time you look away, it gets closer until it grabs you and pulls you in. No, not me. Okay, this is the final one for today's video. Scariest one I've ever heard in real life, the cave people. If you explore caves, you've probably heard them. The quiet little whispers. They sound like a group talking way off in the impenetrable darkness. I've heard a dozen different versions of what they are. Lost souls, dwarves, evil spirits, all the logical explanation. Drops of water echoing and your mind playing tricks. Either way, it's a common joke that we all carry 3 sources of light so that it never goes out. Because if it does, they'll come for you. Or it's because it's true darkness down there and you likely get lost and fall in a pit. It's a rite of passage for young cavers to be frightened with the stories by older vets. Though I've met a few who really swear at having full conversations with the spectres. That's really creepy. No matter how you shake it, I'm a giant wimp and still don't like caving alone, or getting too far from my group, or turning my light out for more than a few minutes. Okay, my thoughts on this? Absolutely horrible. I think this is one of the worst ones. Again, because this isn't exactly like a specific legend per se. This is just a theory that is most obviously the logical explanation, like this guy said, drops of water echoing and your mind doing a little dilly-dallying. But caves in general, like I said, tunnels, caves, they scare the heebie-jeebies out of me. I hate caves. I strongly despise them, especially if they're dark and if they are, well, small, because I'm claustrophobic. I hate that stuff. And the fact that this folklore is doing numbers on me, because if I were to be like, okay, I wanna get rid of my phobia, I'm going to go to a cave. And if I go there and if I hear this, I don't think I'll be living to see daylight again. I would have a heart attack and die right there. Wow, that was a very, very creepy one actually. That was one of probably the scariest ones over here because that was more personal to me. But anyways, that's it for today, guys. If you like the video, you can like, you can subscribe. Also, it would mean a lot if you can comment down below and give some feedback, good or bad. I'm all ears. This is my first video, and if you guys want to see more of this content or any other related themes, please go ahead and comment them down below. I would love to do them. Yeah, see you around next time. Bye.